Hey y'all, welcome to ARK Survival Evolved Mobile. I'm Funsize, your host. So today I've got a build video for you. We're going to go over the 3 best base builds that I've come up with so far for Nomad style living, and we're going to start with the smallest and easiest one to put together. So as you can see in my hotbar here, we have all the resources needed for it. You can do this with 2 forges and no mortar and pestle if you want to. I just like 4 because it adds a little bit of authenticity. So we're going to start. First of all, we're going to find an uneven piece of ground here. So this is not quite even. The reason this is important is because if you have foundations on a flat piece of ground, what happens is they don't place correctly. The foundations will not lower the way you need them to. So we're going to find a slightly uneven spot. The rule of thumb is find a place where you can still build a base using standard foundations without having to use ceilings, but that isn't even. Then you're going to put a foundation at one of the higher spots in that uneven ground. You can see how there's a bit of a dip around here. That'll be perfect for us to put in our drop foundations. So, first step after getting your foundation down is to put a pillar on the edge and make sure it's dropped to its lowest snap point, like this. Then you're going to go to the middle snap point and you're going to drop the pillar again, so it's slightly lower than the first pillar you placed. This allows you to drop a foundation next to your original foundation. Every pillar that you place equals 1 foundation drop. Your goal is to reach 5 foundation drops in order to entirely hide the bed. So now we're going to repeat the process by placing here and there. And once more, we drop the foundations. As you can see, because it's going downhill, we're able to drop it farther. And last, we're going to drop a standard pillar in the middle without doing the double pillars, and we're going to drop it 1 more. See, it's not able to go over there because of the hill, so I'll just place it here. Now, we build out the tall foundation. We place our lowest foundation with stone. It's important that you use your final building resource for this last foundation. We throw our bed on top, make sure it's not poking out the sides, and we finish it up with a stone foundation at the top snap point. As you can see, the bed is entirely hidden. Now we'll drop another stone foundation next to it. There. Now we're going to place 4 walls. Oh, make sure they're facing the right way. And starting in one corner, we're going to place as many forges as we can. This is to add the appearance of it being a smelting shack, and to add some utility to it. Depending on the hostility of your server, you may want to adjust this to not have anything in it, so that they believe that it's completely raided and there is no reason to blow it up. If it's a very hostile server, they may come and foundation wipe the shack just because it has forges in it, if they're possessive of their metal. I also like to add a mortar and pestle so I can whip up spark powder to fill the forges. Then you place your ceilings on top. And your door frame. This provides you with a spawn point and handy smelting. Just make sure you leave your forges unlocked. As an example of what happens when you build on perfectly level ground, I wanted to show you. You're able to drop it 1, 2, 3 foundations. Now, if I attempt to place bed on top of this, as you can see, it's clearly mismatched and it's going to poke through. This is why level ground is actually your enemy on this. Make sure you've got a bit of an incline so that that final foundation can drop really low. In our next build, we're going to build something more intermediate. It's larger, it allows you to store some boxes as well as placing a bed, and it provides a little bit more cover. People are willing to smash up a smelting shack, but if they see what looks like a rather sizable base that's been smashed, they will typically leave it alone. So we start out with 1 foundation. We build out 4 wide. There's a strong, steep downhill this direction, but I can still get it to go 3 deep. I'm going to place a pillar in the edge of my starting piece of stone, and then in the middle. I highly recommend you do this all with thatch first, just to make sure it works. And of course, for all intermediate steps, use thatch. Going to repeat the process on the thatch foundation. Always make sure you have the lowest snap point possible. We've now dropped 4 foundations. Before we drop one more, we're going to build out this wall. So we have a measuring stick. As you can see, we need to drop our bed one more foundation. Our pillar in the middle. And as you can see, the bed goes completely into the foundation. With that done, we pull out the thatch and pillars, and we complete the rest of the ring at max height. And we fill in one of these, the one closest to the bed, leaving an empty space here. Inside this empty space, we tuck as many boxes as we can. We're going to do 4 boxes and 2 mortars. Now, simply pop that in, and you have a small crafting station you can access whenever. Make sure to store extra foundations in the boxes for easy access and closure. Now we simply put the walls on. Be sure the back of the house is where you have the double foundation, as people will spend more time around the front of the house and will therefore be more likely to notice the double foundation if it's around the front. We won't do a door frame, we'll just leave a hole. The reason this is more effective is because it's more of a waste of time. After all, who would put so much effort into making a fake base? Besides, think how many of these you run into in your daily PvP. These empty stone bases with absolutely nothing inside that have been cleaned out. You're simply mimicking what's so often seen. And there you go, your smashed out base. It has a little bit of crafting capacity in the mortar and pestles, it has storage for logging off, and it has a bed for infinite respawns without having to use sleeping bags. I like this for my intermediate sized shacks right before I move to Fabricator shacks, which are next. And to the third build, and the one that served me best, what you're going to do is you're going to take the model of the second build, and you're going to leave the back wall open. So you're going to go in the front door, and you've got 3 spaces wide, 2 tall of the back wall, which you're going to leave open. Take foundations, I'm going to extend this 3 back, and finish it all the way across. Now that that's finished, you'll extend the ceilings outward, and place in the walls. Be sure to leave this one wall out, however. Now we're going to place our crafting equipment, starting with our Fabricator. Place the Fabricator as far into the corner as you possibly can. Make sure you're not placing it through the wall. Quickly run outside to see if it pokes through. It doesn't. Perfect. Now make sure you can place a wall in front of it. You can. Now it's time to place the smithy. And fill in that wall. Now you can put in the walls like this. Make sure they're facing the correct direction. Get a bed fit in here, and place mortar and pestle where they're accessible. You'll have to leave one out. Either you put one under the bed, or you leave one out so you can get in and out when the time comes. Stick all but one of your walls in the smithy, and slap your final wall on there. That just means when you have to access, you can get in and out easily by using the extra walls in the smithy. Once it's closed up, we're going to put a door frame on the door, simply to add a little bit more privacy when we're accessing our smithy. You can make it one wider if you want, you can make it one deeper if you want. But as long as you have this little L shape, people can't tell that you have an extra spot back there. Because the brain disconnect from seeing 6 walls long, 3 wide, 3 there, 2 going around here and jumping up, is enough for them not to notice that it only goes 2 deep. This is the base build that I used on Compy for about a whole month, in a place where everything else was getting raided. This one didn't. To them, this is just another random base that's been smashed out. So I hope y'all enjoyed these 3 little builds that I did. These are my best Nomad builds so far. These are the ones that have gotten me the most traction and the longest longevity. I have yet to be rated in any of these structures, and they provide you the ability to craft all the way through Fabricator tier without harassment. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, hope y'all learned something. Be sure to always think outside the box, and I will see y'all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.